Hello, hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Build and Grow Your Business Like a Pro live show. I'm so excited to be here with you today. If we haven't met before, I'm Allie McCauley, brand and business strategist and WordPress designer and developer. I'm so excited today to have Kathy Allen Davis joining me. She helps high level achievers create and implement healthy habits into their lifestyle, specifically by adding more plants to their diet, which is so cool. She has a thriving coaching business as well as multiple cookbooks that she's got published. So she is no stranger to entrepreneurship and our entrepreneurial world that we all talk about inside of this group all the time. And how it can take a toll on your body. We all know, right? So I'm so excited to have you here with us today, Kathy. Do you want to start by talking about your story and how you got started in your business?
Absolutely. Allie, thanks so much for having me here. I'm really excited to just be here and share my story and how it's really allowed me to energize my life. So, my quick backstory: I've been eating and creating vegan meals for more than 7 years, but really the power in the plants came 2 years ago when I shifted my daily habits to follow a more whole food, clean, plant based lifestyle, really tapping into those whole plant foods, those foods that come from nature that we can eat in their most cleanest form. And with that transition, I experienced tremendous results: 10x of energy, a newfound sense of joy, healthier mind and body. And with all of that energy, I was able to expand my business internationally, author 3 cookbooks, and really start to offer this transformational support to others that might have this as an idea. And I always say, I always caveat everything with the disclaimer of this isn't about going vegan, right? That might be my story, but for some people, this is simply about eating more foods that are energy enhancing instead of energy zapping. So
Mm.
that's really where I come from. I'm really dedicated to empowering those high achievers, people just like me, those runners, those doers, those we want it all, to really give them the resources to help them leverage the power of food so that they can fuel their dreams and make a more significant impact on the world. So
Oh,
I'm just excited to be here and share with all of
yay! What
you.
a great story. It's so cool that so you went through this transformation and added these things to your own life because it's something you felt like you needed, right? Or was it accidental?
Well, honestly, my trigger was actually weight loss. I really stepped into the cleaner, whole food, plant-based eating because I needed to lose some weight, which I did, 40 pounds. It's not anything to kind of slide over, but the results, the things I gained were so impactful in my life and my business that I'm on a mission now to help other people really, leverage the power of food.
I love that. And it's such a great group to be talking to entrepreneurs because we're all so hardworking and hustling and just moving through our days so quickly that our health often is one of the first and easiest things to put on the back burner. I am
It
no good representation of not being an example of that because I am.
Well, and that's the thing. I'm busy too. I'm a, busy entrepreneur, cookbook author, wife, cat mom. I always joke that you might hear or see a cat tail when I'm on here. And I love cooking, right? I'm a cookbook author. So obviously I love to be in the kitchen, but I'm also a full-time traveler, which
Yeah.
means that I'm full-time planning my travel trips. My husband and I sold our house and we live full-time in an RV and we travel the United States. So when people say that they're busy and they're hustling, like I get it because there's so many things on our plate, ha ha
Yeah.
ha, pun intended. And it, to be honest, early on in this life, I didn't have the energy to be good at all of those things. I always felt like there was more I could be doing. I wasn't really until I started eating those whole foods and really noticing the impact that I was able to kind of look back and say, okay, there's some power in this food.
Mm.
And when I'm in good health, I can also be in good wealth. I can also be a greater impact. I can also change the way that I I show up to the world. And isn't that what we want? Don't we want to be somebody who shows up and in power and energy and just shining as our best? And
Absolutely.
that's really what I help people with.
Yeah, that's, I mean, and when you were talking there, I was thinking, yeah, like, and so you integrate healthier foods, right? And then you're able to actually do more. And that's the hard part, right? Is like so often in business we have to step out of that hustle, right? Step back away from it and do small things that can really make us move the needle so much faster. And that's one of them for sure.
Definitely healthy eating and even just self-care in general. And I really look at healthy eating as a form of self-care, like
Mm.
knowing your worth and you are worthy of taking care of yourself. But studies actually show that changing the way you eat can have a 25% increase on your productivity. So I want you to think about that for a minute. Let's talk about it in terms of cash.
Yeah, let's do that. I would love that.
Let's say that you are at $100,000 a year in your business. 25% greater would be $125,000 a year. Like, start to really think about how the power of foods can impact your productivity, right? If you're helping ten clients a month, what if you could increase that by 25%? Now you're helping 12 or 13. And each time you increase, there's a greater increase. So really looking at ways that you can leverage the power of what you eat, like something as simple as adding more unrefined starches, adding more vegetables, more beans, more grains. And when we talk about plants, we're not just talking about leafy green lettuce, although that's good for you. I'm really talking about those foods that are derived in nature from the plant. Beans, nuts, seeds, um, grains, potatoes, tomatoes, fruits, vegetables, hummus. Like, think about the foods that you eat that come from plants and how you can level up those meals by simply adding some more that make you feel good and energized for the rest of the day.
Yeah, yeah, that's awesome. And I can imagine that it's um, the day starts busy for so many people, right? So even straight away, it's like, let me just, chug my glass of water because I'm told I have to start out by hydrating, right? Chug my glass of water, then I'm going to chug my coffee, and then I have to go to work. What do
Right.
we do?
Yeah, and that's one of the big things that we really kind of harness in my program is how to take these what seems so simple, right? Eating more plants and really fit it into your life, really mesh it with your current life. And I always tell people, we say that breakfast is the most important meal of the day. You might eat it at 8 o'clock, you might eat it at 10. If you're somebody that does some intermittent fasting and has seen a lot of benefit, I'm not telling you to make major shifts. I'm really just wanting you to look at how you can eat more of these foods that are going to energize your life, adding fiber, adding satiation so that you're not starving and, getting ready to go for a nap. So my tip number 1, I've got 3 healthy habit tips that you can start implementing right away. And I really always recommend pick one, master it, then come back and listen to this and pick the second one, master it, and then come back and listen to it and do the third one and master it. Because there's nothing worse than the chaos of trying to change everything all at once, right?
Right.
So really step into that power. So, the first tip or the first thing that you might start with is starting your day with a whole grain breakfast with fruit. And I love adding fruit because it is high in antioxidants. I typically recommend breakfasts that are oats or quinoa based. So, you're getting lots of fiber, some protein, some long grain, unrefined or long strain carbohydrates so that they digest a little bit slower, allowing you to stay energized more. And I have a great recipe for apple cinnamon breakfast quinoa that I can drop on the,
Mm.
the video links
I
later.
would
I
love
meant to
that. I was
send that
just
to you
thinking, I've
earlier.
never thought about having quinoa for breakfast. Oats, we talk
Yeah.
about oats a lot, right? And that's kind of a standard, but I've never thought about quinoa. What a
Yeah.
good
And
idea.
it's
I would
really,
love that
really
recipe.
good. Yeah. really good and it allows you to kind of add some variety, right? Because, like
Yeah.
you said, we talk about oats all the time.
Uh-huh.
If you're thinking, I have to eat oats every day for the rest of my life, you're like, oh, I need something else. But this allows you to kind of add a little bit of that protein punch, quinoa's a seed technically. So it's like getting your nuts and seeds in the morning and really energizing you for the day. So that's tip number one. Start off with a whole grain breakfast, lots of plant foods, lots of foods that are going to give you energy, fiber, everything you need to really step into work, energized, step into that business, or step into, powering your business, your hustle, your profession, whatever you need to power that day.
Awesome.
Tip number 2, eat more whole foods at lunchtime. So, gosh,
Lunch. I
if
have to take a deep breath. Lunch is always like, I have to eat. I've got 20 minutes in between meetings. Let me run and grab some snacks. Yeah.
yes, you are not the
If
only
that,
one.
if that, yeah.
In fact, if you're watching this, even team live or team replay, give us a little heart in the comments and let us know if you too are like on the lunch struggle bus. You realize that it's 2 o'clock and you've worked through lunch,
Mm,
or you don't have time to run into the kitchen and make something. So you grab a power bar or a meal replacement bar. And then at 3 o'clock, you're hungry and you're hangry, right? The
yes.
kids get off the
Kids
bus and you're
kids are
like,
home.
ah,
Yeah, I was just about to say,
you're
then the
like,
kids come home. Yep.
yep. So if you relate to this, drop that heart in the comments and let's really get into this. So one of the big things that I work with entrepreneurs on is taking that step back. Again, remember, you are worthy of self-care. It doesn't have to be hard. It just needs to be intentional. So how can you intentionally eat more whole foods at lunch? Can you make extra quinoa when you're making the quinoa for your breakfast bowl? Can you bake up some sweet potatoes or baked potatoes that you can add to that light lunch that you normally have? A sweet potato, a white potato, they're very high in satiation. And when I talk about that, it's really important to think about when your food satiates you and satisfies you, it keeps you fuller longer. So you aren't hitting that hangry at 3 o'clock and you're at work and you're going for the vending machine, or the kids get home and you're eating the same snacks that they're eating.
Yeah.
And you're thinking to yourself, I don't need
Mhm.
these greasy potato chips. What could be a better option? So things that I love for lunch are power bowls. So think about a leveled up salad. You've got your beautiful, colorful vegetable salad, lots of different colors, maybe some tomatoes, some beets, some broccoli, cauliflower. I'm trying to think of carrots, maybe some fruit, blueberries. And then you add to it a scoop of cooked grains or seeds, maybe the quinoa, or some sliced cold potatoes, or a side of baked sweet potato, maybe some chickpeas or beans, adding in those high fiber, high unrefined starches that are really going to energize you for the rest of the day. Because we've all been there, right? We get done with work, we shut our computer, we go into the office, or we leave the office, or we get home after a long day, lots of busyness, and you're just in that hanger stage. You'd rather throw on your comfies and just order takeout than take the time to make yourself something healthy or make yourself something good for dinner. And that fuels the system. It becomes cyclical. You
Mhm.
don't feel good at night, so you eat something crappy for dinner. You don't feel good in the morning because you ate something bad the night before, and the cycle just continues. But if
Yeah.
you take that step back and you really jump into these leveled up salads, these power bowls, and skip a lot of the high fat processed foods, because those are really the energy drainers. Things like sugar and oil and unhealthy fats can really, really drain our energy and leave us feeling groggy, sick to our stomach. Even things like dairy can be very inflammatory, especially when you're eating them on an empty stomach. So, really looking at ways that you can add some more, plant milk, or clean type yogurts made from non-dairy options to add to those midday snacks. And I love to use simple whole salad dressings, maybe fruit blended with some vinegars, or a tahini drizzle and some vinegar, just to kind of give it that creaminess. Maybe it's mashed avocado and lime juice, so more of like a guacamole topping. So really thinking about ways that you can get your healthy fats, your whole fats, the ones that are full of the fiber and the antioxidants, rather than that extracted fat of just oil. And I always
Right.
get the question like, but oil? Yes. So olive oil is healthier than canola or bacon fat, but like thinking about where it is in terms of health, the olive is probably a better option because it has everything intact. So thinking about the unprocessed side of things and really, stepping into taking care of yourself and feeding yourself those good foods in the middle of the day allows your body to easily process the energy and really, really keep you energized for that late night work. Maybe you're a side hustler. So you've worked all day, you get home, you help your family get your kids to bed, and then you want a side hustle until later in the evening. You've got to have that energy to do that. So thinking about ways that you can really make sure that you're tapping into the power of foods.
Yeah, those are such great suggestions for the dressings too, because that's my always my thing is like, well, and I have to keep it as easy and simple as possible. Otherwise, I'm not going to do it. And like just having an avocado there to mash up with some lime juice, that's easy, right? It's not
Absolutely.
difficult. It doesn't have to be difficult. You don't have to make some extravagant dressing ahead of time. you know, that's great. And that was the second tip. So now there's
That was
still a
tip
third
number
one we're
2.
waiting on. Okay.
So tip number 3 is to snack on whole foods. And this is the one that I think this is the one that really started to make the most sense to me early on. So if you're really like, I don't know about this, this whole plant-based thing kind of freaks me out. Like I just need something simple. Change all your snacks to whole foods. Fruits, uh, vegetables, whole grain crackers, hummus, roasted chickpeas. Like, really think about how you can get the whole food. Maybe it's peanut butter on celery instead of potato chips. Maybe it's, dates covered with chocolate and some fruit. Maybe it's chocolate covered strawberries using like a dark chocolate or a vegan chocolate that doesn't have the milk powder or the milk, the milk chocolate in it. Really thinking about ways that you can reduce those inflammatory foods, the dairy, the gluten, and really up the level of those high energizing foods of fruits and vegetables and replacing the snacks that you might normally grab, right? Like maybe you grab granola or you make granola bars or granola cookies instead of getting the refined and processed high sugar um, granola bars from the grocery store. So really looking kind of at ingredients and starting to snack more on whole foods. And that's something we all can do. Like
Mm,
even as a vegan, right? I was eating a lot of vegan junk food, a lot of vegan processed foods. So when I really took that step back and said, okay, more beans, more greens, more veggies, more fruit for snacks instead of grabbing potato chips. Oreos are vegan, not necessarily the healthiest thing on the earth, right?
right.
So we're not really talking about going vegan. We're really here talking about eating more plants, really focusing on those whole plant foods. So those are my 3 tips, but honestly the biggest takeaway that I have for you is to prioritize your health because you can make all the money in the world at your business, but if you don't have your health, you're not going to be able to use it. You're not going to be able to spend it. You're not going to have the energy to take your kids places or, you know, go on the trips you want or, enjoy the homes and the cars and the vacations. And really prioritizing your health is so important, especially for those of us who are trying to shine and make a bigger impact in the world.
Yeah, definitely. And that's what, I love all these tips, but if you don't prioritize it, right, it doesn't matter. And I think a big part probably is just to have those type of foods on hand, right? First of all, have those type of foods on hand, and then second of all, maybe don't have the other kind on hand so you don't go to grab those. Because I still, even if I have an apple in the fridge, I'm still like pretzel stick. Easy. Which is what I did yesterday and woke up with like a swollen eye today. I'm sure because I had way too much salt from my pretzel stick stack. It was covered in salt.
Yeah, and really, the beauty of making plant foods accessible is you start to look at them and you feel, I don't know, when I look at a colorful plate, I'm like, ooh, this makes me happy. Like I love when there's like a rainbow of colors on my plate or on my food and I'm just like, this kind of food makes me happy. Like this salad with all these colors makes me so happy.
Yeah.
And so, I love apples. I love pretzels. Maybe it's half an apple and half a bag, not a bag, but half a handful of pretzels. Like and allowing yourself to balance it, but also, you know, keeping in mind, right? Keeping the forefront of the mind to grab that healthier option or grab that more whole food snack.
Yeah, that's such great advice. And I have noticed your pictures that you post of your plates. They are so beautiful. And I can see that the satisfaction you would have to sit down at such a beautiful plate like that, you know. And what a gift to give yourself too. And I know that I'm sure people, your clients, they tell you probably all the time it's harder in the beginning and it gets easier, right? The more you practice this and the more you integrate habits, just like any other habits that we need to improve upon in our life and change. The more you do it, the easier it will become.
Definitely. And I mean, when you think about business, right? Like we prioritize all of the tasks for a healthy business.
Mm,
But if we're not showing up healthy, are we really, really, is our business as healthy as it could be? I mean, if you can increase productivity by 25%, like that could be a game changer for a
yeah,
lot of businesses.
for sure. That's amazing. I love that statistic. I'm so happy that you were able to come on with us today and share these tips. This is so great and such an important thing for us to think about and keep in mind as we're building these businesses because, like you said, just to be able to show up. I mean, if you're not feeling well, you don't want to show up in the first place, right? So, I mean, that reason alone, just to get you to get into the day, show up for your people, and be active and do the thing, right? And do it 25% better than you would have if you weren't implementing healthier habits for yourself and healthy eating.
Yeah, and two, to piggyback a little bit on that, the takeaway also for this should really be like maybe you're the person that shows up all day for your people, but your energy wanes in the evening and you're not showing up for your people, the people in
Hmm.
your life, the people that, matter the most. And they're getting the brunt of you not having the energy.
Right.
They're getting the brunt of you not feeling well. They're getting the brunt of, the unhealthy lifestyle that you may, be coming with. And to be on the cutting edge of this information and be on trend with eating more plants really could change your life, right? If this eating more plants goes mainstream in 10 years, how much further along will you be to have started 10 years before?
Yeah, that really hits home because I know that's something that I do a lot. I go all day, and then at the end of the day, the kids are home and I'm beat, you know, and I'm gonna go grab healthier snacks this afternoon.
We're all going to
Good
eat more plants
inspiration.
at lunchtime.
Yes, yes. Oh, I'm so excited that you came on today. I know you have a workshop coming up this next week, right?
I do.
You want to tell
Yes.
everyone about it and where they can find you and all the things?
Absolutely. So we have the food using food as fuel masterclass, healthy habits for high achievers, coming up next Monday, starting at noon Eastern. You can actually find that at veginspired.com/masterclass. So veginspired.com/masterclass. And we can drop links below if you want to. And then the best way to connect with me is on Facebook. You can either pop into my Facebook community. It's veginspired.com/foodies. That's a great way. Or just, reach out to me. I know that I'll be tagged in this video. If you need help or you're like, oh my gosh, I really want to eat more plants, but I have no idea where to start. Like that's my jam. Like that's what I love to do is to help you figure out where to start. And even if you started with any one of these habits, it could really, really make a big impact on your
Yeah,
life.
yeah. That's great advice. Start somewhere. Just start small and
Imperfect
get started.
action.
Yeah, take step by
Yep.
step. Oh, thanks again for being here, Kathy. This was so great.
Yes. Thank you so much for having me, Ellie. Have a
Yeah,
wonderful day.
you too. Bye.
Bye.